Hey yogis, Sesa here, welcome back. We're gonna go through another hour of yin and yang, and I'm gonna ask Daniel out to join us. He will be demonstrating, because you all know I don't do yoga, actually. So he's gonna demonstrate for me. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll just start off laying on our backs. So if you wanna start off lying on your back, just find a comfortable shape. Legs can be long, arms can fall down by your sides. If you want to begin to tap into an external hip rotation, releasing the inner groin, you could slide the soles of your feet together, let the knees flop open. If you feel achy or a little pinchy in your lower back, you could bend the knees, have your feet a little wider than your hips, and allow the knees to knock together up top. Arms can be out and away from your body. You could rest them on your torso in a comfortable way. But whatever shape you find yourself in, I want you to close your eyes and take these next couple moments to fully land in your body. Just finding that place of surrender and giving in. Watching your breath. Acknowledging how the body's feeling, noticing the mind. And then together we'll begin to deepen the breath by first letting go of a nice long exhale. And then take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Send that breath the length of your spine to the hook of your tailbone. Feel the crown of your head grow further away. Open up the mouth. Let's take another long, slow, deep inhale. Fill from the bottom to the top. This time hold. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. And open up your mouth and just audibly let it go. One more. Deep inhale through the nose. Holding at the top. This time keeping the lips sealed. Go ahead and just slowly exhale out the nose. And then just continue to breathe in and out your nose as slowly and as deeply as you can. Trying not to force it, restrict it, just breathing evenly, deeply. And allowing this breath to carry you through the next 56 minutes. And then as you feel connected with the breath, just begin to call some awareness back into the rest of the body. You might start by wiggling the toes, the fingers. Slowly straightening the legs out, pointing to the toes. Maybe stretch your arms up and overhead. Take a deep breath in. Let the lower back lift, the chest lift. And then exhale, pull the knees into the chest. Go ahead and draw little circles in one direction, massaging the lower back. And then switch. And then as you're ready, you'll hug your right knee into the chest. Let your left leg go long, hitting the mat. Flex the foot. You're going to push your heel down into the mat, but also try and slide it forward away from the head. So you're trying to get your left hamstring fully flat on the floor. It's obviously going to be impossible to do because you have a butt cheek. But try and get that leg as flat on the floor as you can. Now you're going to grab behind your right knee and then flex that leg straight up to the ceiling. So as you're flexing the heel up to the ceiling, I want you to push your leg forward into your hands and resist that obviously with your hands. Pull the lower belly tight, get your lower back to flatten out into the mat, knit those front ribs in. Now I want you to begin to walk your hands up the back of your leg as you begin to lift your head, your shoulders up off the ground. Try to bury those front ribs deeper into the front body. Pull the lower belly in. Drive that left heel down. Try not to let it lift or slide around. If your chin is digging into the chest, try to look towards your toes so you actually have a little opening in the front of your neck. Now, keeping the height of your shoulders, if you can, just reach your arms forward, framing your right leg, palms face each other. Pull the lower belly to the spine. Drive the left heel into the mat. Now then inhale, you're gonna reach your hands up towards your right toes. Maybe you even can touch them. And then exhale, reach both arms outside your leg. Try to keep the right shoulder lifting up off the mat. Feel that deepen the intensity of the pinch in the obliques. Inhale, reach up towards your toes. Lift those shoulders. Exhale, reach both arms forward, peeling the shoulders a little higher, closing the space between your sternum bone and your pubic bone. Inhale, touch your toes or pretend. Exhale, both arms outside the right leg. Inhale, lift up towards the toes. Exhale, reach forward, peel your shoulders higher up. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, reach outside the right leg. Inhale, touch your toes. Exhale, frame your leg, peel the shoulders higher. 25 more. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale, touch your toes. Exhale, reach forward, framing the leg, peeling the shoulders up. Now float your left foot up. And then hug your knees into the chest. So if you're new to my class, starting on your back is always false advertising. Let's kick the left or right leg straight out, left leg straight up. So first flex the right foot, pull the heel down and forward, and then interlacing your hands behind your left knee, we'll kick that left leg up. As you push the heel up through the ceiling, you're pushing your leg away from your torso, so you actually find a little pocket of space in the front of your left hip flexor. Lower belly pulls in. Now you're going to begin to knit the front ribs in as you crawl your hands up the back of your leg. Try not to pull the leg towards you. Remember, you're still pushing that leg away from you to peel the shoulders higher. Look towards your toes so you're not digging your chin into your chest. Pull the belly tight, drive into the right heel. So for now, the right leg does not leave the mat. We release the top leg, reach forward, framing the leg towards the front of the mat. Palms face each other. Check in with your breath. Don't hold it. And then inhale, reach up, try to touch your toes without pulling the toes towards you. Exhale, both arms reach outside your left leg, but try to peel the left shoulder up. And then inhale, reach up towards your toes, lift the shoulders higher. Exhale, frame your leg as you reach forward, curl up a little more. Inhale, touch your toes. Exhale, twist outside your leg. Inhale, touch those toes. Exhale, curl forward, lift the shoulders up. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach forward, frame the leg, lift up the shoulders. Inhale, touch your toes. Exhale, last oblique twist. Inhale, touch your toes. Exhale, reach forward, curl your shoulders higher. Try and get the tips of your shoulders off the mat. And then float your right foot up. Pull the lower belly to the spine. Let your whole body shake. And then hug the knees into the chest. Grabbing the backs of your thighs. We'll begin to rock up and down, backwards and forwards. Find the momentum you need to come to all fours. We'll cross one shin in front of the other. Plant the hands in front of you, roll over your shins, and just step back. So knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Inhale, cow, drop the belly, lift the tailbone and glance up. Exhale, cat, round and curl, pull the belly tight. Inhale, gentle sway in the back. Exhale, round and curl like a scared cat. And then just go on your own, breath per movement, back and forth. Breathe. Find those circular motions if it feels right within your body. Remember, anything organic. There's no hard and fast rules or anything that says you have to do cat-cows, only up and down. Switch the direction of your circles. And then as you're ready, we'll come to neutral, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. So from downward dog, feel free to pedal out the feet, come up and down in the toes, especially if this is the first dog of the practice of the day. But everybody seems to be doing like 5 yoga classes a day, so you might be nice and limber. But as you're ready, eventually the feet will rest hips distance apart. The heels spin back and just slightly out so they disappear behind the toes. And then even if you have to bend your knees a lot, I want you to lift those hip creases straight up to the sky as if there's a rope tied into the hip creases, lifting them. Keeping the height of the hips, this nice little release you created in the back. Knit the front ribs in so you don't just dump into the upper back. Wrap those outer shoulder blades to your ribs, hug your triceps back. Press into the palms to keep the height of the hips. Now just press the tops of your thighs back to anchor your heels down. Make sure you're rooted down to the whole circumference of your palm. We have this tendency to teepee in the hands where the first knuckle of the thumb and index lift. So root down. Relax the head and neck, ears in line with your biceps. Chest is actually lifting away from the mat rather than sinking towards it. And then with an inhale, we will come forward, high plank or top of a push-up. Hips level out with the shoulders, drive your heels back, firm your thigh bones up towards the ceiling unless you need to drop to the knees for modification, use them. Hips stay level with the shoulder blades and you have the slightest tuck to your tailbone, pull your lower belly tight. Wrists, elbows, shoulders stack, push down so much into your hands that the natural reaction is your chest and the back of your head actually lift up. As the space between the shoulders gets very broad, so puff up like cat pose. Glide the shoulder blades down the back, sternum bone forward. Nice. Crown of the head lengthens forward. Breathe. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Lift your hips up and back. Inhale, roll forward like a wave. And then exhale, pulling back. Inhale to high plank. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll inhale, roll forward. As you lean forward, maybe drop your knees, exhale halfway down, chaturanga, elbows hug back. Inhale, straight back up, high plank, pause. 2 more. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, high plank. Last one. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, dandasana or high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Now inhale to high plank. As you lean out, exhale, chaturanga to hover. This time, inhale, cobra or up dog. Stay gentle. Exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips, downward dog. From downward dog, I want you to keep your hips exactly as they are. You're just gonna glue your right femur bone into the hip socket and hover your right foot like an inch up off the ground. It's hip flexor compression, just sucking like a straw that femur bone into your hip joint. Pull the belly to the spine. Now you're gonna pull those right toes without moving your hips at all towards your right wrists. Remember where that feels. Inhale, sweep the leg up and back. Flex the foot, inner thigh leads. Without letting your hips go forward, keep them up. Exhale, right toes towards your right wrist without bending the knee. Don't touch the floor either. Inhale, lift the leg up and back. Exhale, toes towards your right wrist. Inhale, sweep it up and back. Exhale, toes towards your right wrist. Now, can you keep that foot hovering? Begin to lean forward, shoulders over wrists. Lift the foot a little higher. Try to get the knee closer to your arm. And then inhale, lift the leg, the hips, bend the knee, open it up, relax the head and neck. Wrap that outer right shoulder down. Lift the left armpit up. Hug your left hip back. Now find the tippy toes of your back foot. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest. Look forward and gently step next to your right thumb. Turn the back heel down. Heel to heel alignment for now. Back toes just need to turn forward at about 10 degrees. Lead with your left arm, warrior two will come up. So front heel to back heel is going to give you more space in the back ridge of your hips. Those back toes turning forward at 10 degrees is to help anchor the back leg. The inner left thigh should wrap back to anchor the femur bone into the hip socket. Inner right thigh draws forward, knee pushes out to the right so you can at least see your big toe. Draw the tailbone down, pull the lower belly and front ribs in. As both hands float just above your shoulders, you're actively lifting the arms, but simultaneously actively resist pushing them down so your lats, your serratus, turn on. Karate chop the arms back as you pull them apart so the shoulder blades don't cinch together, they're actually drawing away from each other. Now look at your front foot. We have a tendency to grab the earth with the toes, so can you actually lift your toes up? And then imagine dragging your right heel back towards your left foot. That's going to really turn on the hamstring. Now keep that engagement, but let your right toe touch down, right big toe touch down. Pull the belly tight. Maybe even your calf is working overtime, something we normally don't feel a lot in this pose. But breathe. And then gently release your right forearm to your right thigh, reach your top arm up and overhead. Try to keep that engagement in the hamstring. Don't let your legs just go soft. Push your right forearm down into the leg so you lift that right shoulder out away from the side of your neck. Roll the right shoulder down your back, lengthen your right ribs forward into it. Daniel's hating his life right now. Wrap your left tricep towards your face. Knit the front ribs in. Breathe. So remember, that right heel is pulling towards your left heel actively, as if you're trying to drag the two edges of your mat together. Keep that friction, pull yourself up, warrior two. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat, turn to your back toes, pause. Push into your front foot to slowly straighten your leg. That should feel magical. Pressing into the middle of your front foot to feel the hamstring lift towards your sit bone. Get both hips level. They should push up and back just like they do in downward dog. Left heel working its way to the mat, but it does not need to touch the mat. And then if you want it, maybe you rock to the back of your right heel, flexing your toes to the crown of the head, which is falling forward. And even here, imagine dragging your right heel back towards your left foot, keeping the hamstring safe. Breathe. And then slowly rebend your front knee. Drop the back knee, top of the foot to the mat. Slide that back leg back 2 to maybe 4 inches and pull your front leg straight. Left hip should stack at the knee. Right toes flex up and back so you rock to the back of your heel. Now with your hands directly under the shoulders, cup the earth with the fingertips, think flat back. Your left hand will stay as it is unless it needs to come to a prop. Reach your right arm up towards the sky. We'll take a twist. We'll stretch the hamstring out after it did that work. Squeeze your inner thighs closer together. Don't just collapse into the hips. Make sure both hips stay even, level. Right sit bone hooks towards your inner left thigh. Lengthening the spine. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, right hand down. Rebend your front knee. Pause, crawl the hands forward so they stack under the shoulders. Plant into the left hand. You'll reach your right arm up. Take another twist. Press into the left palm, roll the left shoulder blade down the back. Make sure the right knee stacks at the center of your ankle. Now tuck your back toes. Drive your left heel back, lift your left thigh bone higher than you think you should. Maybe look up past your right hand, take an inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. Step your right foot back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. So from downward dog, remember the hips, try to keep them level. Try not to lift the hips. But you're going to, like a straw, suck your left femur bone up into the hip. The foot hovers like a ½ inch from the ground. So try to use that engagement of the glutes of the lower belly to slowly try and get that left toe towards your left wrist without ever letting it touch the ground, without letting your hips come or shoulders come forward. Inhale, lift the leg up and back. Inner thigh leads. Exhale, left toes towards your left wrist without moving the hips or shoulders. And then inhale, stretch the leg up and back. Exhale, toes towards your wrist. Belly tight, hips lift. Inhale, stretch it to the sky. So exhale towards your left wrist. And remember, it might not get much further in front of your right foot. Inhale, stretch it up and back. Now exhale, hover the foot towards your left wrist. Keep the foot hovering, drift your shoulders forward. Lift the foot a little higher, try and get the knee a little closer to your arm. Keep high plank in that back leg. And then inhale, three-legged dog. Bend the knee and open your hip. Relax your head and neck. Hug the outer right hip back. Wrap that outer left shoulder down. Find the tippy toes of your back foot. Exhale, knee to chest, stepping in between the hands. Back heel turns down. Remember, heel to heel alignment because this is the warm-up. Keep that space in your hips. Make sure your back toes turn slightly forward. Lead with your right arm, warrior two. Come on up. So heel to heel, back toes turn forward at least 10 degrees. But if you're tighter in your hips, you might find it helpful to turn your foot a little further forward. That right femur anchors into the hip. So that right hip actually slightly points to the front right-hand corner of the mat. Outer left hip is hugging back as the front knee stacks at the ankle. We have Tadasana within the spine, and then the arms are actively going up and down, turning on the serratus, the lats. And even though you karate chop them back to open your chest, don't forget to pull the shoulder blades further apart so you're opening the back body as well. Now looking at your front foot, remember you're going to lift all 5 toes up off the mat and just drag your left heel back towards your right foot. You want to feel that hamstring turn on. Now keeping that engagement, resisting the shin from going forward, just let your left big toe touch the ground. Now you guys get to see Daniel's face. Left forearm to left thigh, right arm goes up and overhead. Left palm and the bottom arm should face up. Top palm and the top arm should face down. Push into the left forearm, roll your left shoulder blade down the back, but then lengthen your left ribs forward into that, and that creates a collision of energy to give your spine space. Hug those front ribs in. That's a battle for 99.9% of us all the time. Don't forget about the engagement in that front leg. Imagine dragging the left heel back. Try not to lose that. Even if you have to use that trick of lifting the toes up to remind yourself to do it. Ground down to the knife edge of your back foot. So push evenly into both feet. Keep dragging your left heel back as you slowly pull yourself back up, warrior two. Oh yeah. Take an inhale. Exhale, windmill your hands down to the mat, turn to your back toes, pause, pull your front leg straight. Just pushing into the front foot. Your front knee doesn't have to go fully straight. You might rock to the back of your left heel, but still dragging the left heel towards your right foot. Hips are evenly pushing up and back like they do in downward facing dog. Let your head fall forward and down, pulling the belly in. A very wide variation of a pyramid pose. Breathe. And then slowly rebend your front knee. Stack it at your ankle. Drop the back knee, top of the foot to the mat. Slide that leg back 2 to 3 inches. Pull your front leg straight. Right hip should stack at the knee. Flex your left foot. So if you have to slide the left foot forward to get the leg straight, do so. But toes pull towards your face. Hands stack under your shoulders. Cup the earth with the fingertips. Right hand stays put. Reach your left arm up. So remember, squeeze the inner thighs closer together, but check in with your hips. We have a tendency to kind of get lazy in the hips. So that right hip is going to want to spin forward, so kind of pull the right hip back. Think of dropping your left sit bone towards your inner right thigh. And then think of dragging your left heel back. Lengthen the spine forward. So this is why yoga is meant to be a mindful practice. We tend to think that yoga is mindless because we get to check out. But we have to be so mindful of everything our body is doing at every given moment. Or at least we should be. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand down as you rebend the front knee. Bring the hands under your shoulders. Plant the right hand, reach your left arm up. Press into the right palm, roll the right shoulder blade down the back. Make sure the front knee stacks at the ankle. Extend the top arm up. And if you find yourself pinching the arm back, you're actually crowding your spine. So you just need to reach the arm straight out. And even here, protract your shoulder blades. Tuck your back toes. Drive the right heel back. Lift the right thigh up towards the ceiling. Finding more length, more space. Maybe a deeper twist. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand to the mat. Step your left foot back. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll bend the knees, draw your hips way back as you look between your hands. Bottom of your exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Feet hips distance apart. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Bend your knees, grab your elbows, ragdoll, we'll just hang out. So all 10 toes should point straight forward. So the big toes turn slightly in, heels slightly out. Ideally, the knees actually bend so much that your chest lands on top of them. Belly to thigh, chest to knees. Now keeping that connection of your torso to your legs, lift the backs of your legs straight up, and that's going to help rock the hips forward, keeping them stacked in line with your ankles. You find a much deeper stretch, even if your knees aren't even fully straight. Switch the cross in your arms, even that out. Breathe. And as you're ready, release the hands to the mat. Add a little bend to the knees, pull your belly to the spine, and just roll your spine up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Arms are heavy, neck and head last to come. Roll the shoulders up to the ears, and then just slide them down your back and let them rest there. So feet can stay as they are, especially if you have lower back pain or hip problems. It's a great way to practice. If not, big toes touch, heels can separate enough that you can maybe put your index finger in between them. Wherever you decide to go with your feet, everybody inhale, circle your arms to the sky. Tadasana, maybe watch your palms kiss. And then exhale, forward fold. Lead with your heart, lift the backs of your legs up to release the head down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step, maybe jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, lift the hips, relax the head and neck. Inhale, bend your knees, draw your hips way back. Bottom of your exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Bend those knees. Let's roll the spine up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Circle the arms up, look up, Tadasana. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach for the sun. Exhale, bow forward towards the earth. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, chaturanga in your own time. Find your back bend with the inhale. And exhale, guides downward dog. With an inhale, we'll bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Rolling the spine up, vertebrae by vertebrae. On an inhale, we'll circle the arms up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, Tadasana, find the peak of the mountain. Exhale, forward fold, let it go. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, chaturanga, stepping or jumping if you're ready. Inhale, find your back bend. Exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, Tadasana, push down to rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. So go ahead and shift the weight over into your right foot. And you're just going to lift your left leg up, bending the knee, flexing to the heel. So that knee should just shoot straight out from the hip. The heel pushes straight down. So you have a 90-degree angle in your leg. Now keep that. Open your arms up to a T, palms face forward. You're going to take an inhale, lift the spine. As you exhale, round your spine and interlace your hands at the arch of your foot. Notice if your knee lifted up above your hip. Can you push the heel down so the knee drops back down? Perfect. Micro bend into the right leg so you don't shove the knee back. Now you could stay here, find a focal point, something to help you balance. If you want to take this further, take an inhale, lift the spine, think flat back, and then kick your legs straight forward, flex the heel. Ooh, we'll try to lift the heel up now in line with your hip. Oh. I'll do it with you. So find that focal point. Lifting the spine, pulling the belly in. And then if you want to take this further, on an exhale, you're going to wrap the elbows around your calf. Think of dropping your forehead towards your shin, and you stare at your right big toe for balance. It's a standing forehead to knee forward fold. If you get there. And if you don't, you just shouldn't be doing yoga. I'm kidding. Slowly bend the knee. Inhale, lift your chest and reach up. Palms face each other. Ekapada Tadasana. If you want to keep the knee bent, stay here. For my least favorite pose in all of yoga, you might kick your left leg forward, heel pressing forward, toes pulling back and lifting up. Take an inhale. Without touching the left foot to the mat, exhale, sweep it straight back. Reach your arms back, warrior three. Flex that back heel. Spin the outer left hip down. Hug your outer right hip in and push into your right foot so you lift the front of your right hip up the thigh. Pull the belly tight. Think cobra up dog in the shoulders. Your arms can stay where they're at. If you want a middle ground, palms heart to heart center. For the fullest expression, you'll reach them forward like we did in Ekapada Tadasana. Breathe in and out your nose. Wherever you're at with your arms, bend your standing leg as deep as you can. There we go. Step your left foot way back, land on the toes, crescent pose, reach up. Soften the back knee, tuck the tailbone down, pull the belly tight, lift through the spine to lift up through the arms. Maybe you can lift up into the glands, looking between the hands, maybe they even kiss. Now keep reaching up. Push the weight into the front foot, slowly straighten your front leg. Take your hands to your hips, grab onto them. And just step your back foot in maybe 2 inches so your back heel can turn down. Back toes still dramatically point forward at more than halfway. Hugging that right hip back. Use your hands to square your hips off. So you have a couple options. I want you to take your arms out to a T. Now flip your palms down and then back as much as you can. Now flip the palms down and then back behind you. Thumbs point down, pinkies up. Internally rotating those arms. Make sure your shoulders don't hunch forward. Knit the front ribs in. Now you can take your hands down behind you and maybe take reverse namaste up your back. If you can't get those palms to press, then you can just make fists and push your fists together, hugging the elbows back against the front ribs, pulling in, the shoulders pressing forward. So now you're going to keep that Inhale, lift the spine. Exhale, begin to go forward. Back of your right leg lifts to tilt your pelvis. And then try to fold your belly down your thigh. Think chest to knee, chin, nose, and forehead eventually towards your shin. So pyramid pose is called so because our torso eventually will lay onto the front leg, creating the shape of a pyramid. So it's not forehead to knee, because I've never seen a pyramid with a giant pimple on the side of it, but you know, we do what we can. And it's very hard with the hands behind you like this to actually round your spine, so try to keep that length. Hug the right hip back, ground down to the back foot just as much as you're pushing into the front foot. So inhale, sink flat back. Pull the belly tight, support the spine. Gently release your hands. Release them to the mat. Relax the head and neck. So now taking a little further, maybe your hands crawl forward, lengthening the front body a little bit more. If you want to go even further, you could walk your hands back towards your left foot. Fingers point to the back of your mat. So option to stay here. Daniel knows anytime I say option, that means something terrible is coming on the other side of it. So push into the fingertips of your hands. Think a little bit of a flat back, cobra, up dog in your shoulders. Pull your belly away from the thigh, support yourself. Now you're gonna shift the weight into your fingertips and your front foot. Try to lift your left heel up off the mat, come light onto the tippy toes of your back foot. Now maybe pull your left knee to your chest and pull the left heel up to your butt. Yeah, some ridiculous thing that you see on Instagram all the time, and now you know how to do it. Gently step your left foot way back to the back of your mat. Plant your hands under the shoulders. Step back, chaturanga, lower slow. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. So from downward dog, we inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, find the front of your mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, Tadasana, reverse swan dive with a flat back all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Shifting the weight into your left foot, we lift the right leg up, bending the knee, flexing the foot. So remember, 90-degree angle in that right leg. Open the arms out to a T, palms face forward. Take an inhale, lift the spine. Exhale, you'll round and curl, interlace your hands at the arch of your foot. And remember, if the knee lifted above your hip, push your heel down so the knee shoots straight out of your hip. Keep looking forward, find something to focus on. If this is where you stay, rounding over a bent knee, great. If you want to go forward, inhale, think flat back, kick your right leg forward, heel should lift straight out of the hip. Lifting the chest, pulling the belly in. There we go. So you could stay here. Keep the spine long. If you want to go further, you try and wrap your elbows around the calf. You drop the forehead towards your knee and you look at the left big toe for balance, which is easier said than done generally because your left big toe is kind of wobbling around. But standing forehead to knee, breathe. So if your leg is straight, we'll slowly rebend the knee, lift the chest, reach your arms up. If you want to straighten that right leg out, Ekapada Tadasana. Say ta-da. I did it. Take an inhale. Exhale, sweep your right leg and arms down and back. Warrior 3. Flex that back heel. Lift the right thigh. Hug your left hip back. With the palms facing the mat, then cobra up dog in the shoulders. Lengthen the spine forward. Hands can stay there. They can come to heart center. You might even extend them out in front of you. If that puts all the pressure into your lower back, pull them back to your heart, reach them back to your right foot. but bending the standing leg as deep as you can. Gently step the right foot way back, land on the toes, crescent pose, we reach up. So just letting that left hamstring kind of work, that turns on. Bending the back knee, tucking your tailbone down, Tadasana from your hips to the fingertips, right? And then thinking side splits within the legs. Reaching up, let that help you push into the middle of your front foot to slowly straighten your front leg. Take your hands, grab onto your hips. Instep your back foot enough that the heel can be fully flat on the floor and your back toes turn forward to the front right-hand corner of your mat. Use your hands to square off your hips. Left hip pulls back, right hip forward. Open your arms up, palms facing the mat, and then you flip the palms back. So your thumbs point down, pinkies up. Don't hunch your shoulders forward. Stand up tall. Hug the front ribs in as you try to reverse namaste your hands up your back. If not, make those fists punch yourself in the hands. So really push the hands together. Control those front body in against the shoulder blades pushing forward as the elbows pull back. And then inhale, lift up, grow tall. Exhale, lean your spine forward. Feel the back of your left leg lift to allow the pelvis to slowly tilt. Think belly to thigh, shin to knee, shin to knee. They are connected, but chest to knee, forehead eventually towards your shin. But don't round out. Try not to let the palms or your fists separate. You want to push them together. That's where you're going to get that opening within the shoulders, the chest. Breathe in and out your nose. So inhale, think flat back. Pull the belly in to support the spine. Very slowly release your arms out and then down. Fold, belly to thigh, chest to knee, forehead towards the shin. Hands can walk forward, extending, crawling forward, or you might begin to crawl them back towards your right foot, cupping the earth with the fingertips. Fingers point towards the back of your mat. So remember, you can stop at any point, but if you want to take this further, you're going to push into your fingertips enough that you can kind of lift your head away from the leg. Pull the belly to the spine. All the weight shifts into your hands and your front foot. You might lift the right heel and just get light on those toes. You might try and pull the knee to the chest and lift the right heel to the butt. But try and lean back into the hands so you're still stretching that left hamstring. Breathe. And wherever you're at, you're going to step your right foot all the way back to the back of your mat. Plant your hands under the shoulders into a lunge. Exhale, step your left foot back. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Let's take a nice deep inhale. Through the nose, hold your breath at the very top. Open up your mouth. One more. Deep inhale through the nose to hold. This time, like a lion, stick out your tongue. And go ahead and drop to your knees. Cross one ankle over the other, sit back behind your feet. Bring your legs straight out in front of you. So with your legs straight out in front of you, you do need to find your sit bones. So grab the cushion, aka a butt cheek, pull it straight back. Do the same thing to both sides. The reason you do that is you want to be sitting on your sit bones, not the tailbone. So the tailbone, the lower back need to lift out from underneath you. Your pelvis sits neutrally. Now let's keep the legs as they are, but bring the sole of your left foot to your inner right thigh, allowing the knee to drop out and open. So if your knee doesn't touch the ground in that left leg, put a bolster, a block, a book, a pillow underneath it. Now take both hands and frame your right leg, cupping the earth with the fingertips. Turn your torso towards your right foot. And then very slowly, just begin to crawl your hands down. Round your spine out. So pull the belly and knit your ribs in. Think cat pose through the entire spine. Let the head hang heavy. If your forehead does not touch your right leg, and even if it does, I want you to do a little less. Put a block on the inside, outside edge of the leg, depends on how much you can twist your torso towards that right leg. Let the arms hang heavy, elbows bend. They sag to the mat, shoulders droop away from the ears. The feet can become soft. The left knee being weighed down just by gravity itself. Just giving yourself these next few moments to really get still. And just remember that with stillness comes silence, right? Because silence is merely the stillness of noise or sound vibrations. So really they should go hand in hand. So I won't always give you the aid of the distraction of my voice. Because really that is what it is, a distraction, something for your mind to focus on. Where this is the part of the practice where we should really begin to kind of notice the mind, why it doesn't like to sit still and get quiet. Notice what happens to the body within it, how we react. And rather than responding at all, just allowing ourselves to sit with it. So I like to do it on an exhale, so I can pull the belly in to support the spine. So on a very slow exhale, you're going to just begin to roll your spine up. Let the head and neck stay heavy. They should be very last to come. Walking your hands back. Once your shoulders are over your hips and your head is over your shoulders, you'll take the left hand underneath your left knee, lift it up, and then slide your left leg forward. As you feel ready, make sure you find your left sit bone. Move that cushion out. Bring your right foot to the inner left thigh, knee flops open. And also be aware that one hip is going to be tighter than the other. So you may need a prop under one, you might not in the other, and that's okay. Cup the earth, framing your left leg, kind of catty turn your torso towards the leg. Square it off. And then begin to round out your spine. Get round as much as you can without rounding the tailbone underneath the pose, and then crawl forward. Forehead rests somewhere. Arms get very heavy. The feet soften. The jaw releases. The eyelids close. You unfurrow the eyebrows. And you simply breathe. Because you're already there. You made it into the pose as far as you need to go. Don't try to convince yourself you need to get further or do more. Just sit where you're at. Connect with your breath. Remembering that the breath is that knot that connects and ties the mind and body together. And just breathe. Notice if the mind is fidgeting. I haven't forgotten about you. You are simply sitting in this side for just as long as you did on the other. So if the mind is anxious, if you find yourself looking at the computer screen to see if it froze or magically shut off, we're still here, exactly where you need to be. So just breathe. Last few breaths. So remember, on an exhale, you'll pull the belly in and just begin to round your spine vertebrae by vertebrae. Articulate it. See if you can literally feel that taking place. Once the head is up, you'll take the right hand to the outer knee, lift the leg up, and then slide it forward. Bend your knees, slide your bottom forward, and let's gently work our way down to being flat on the back. Slide the soles of your feet together, let your knees drop open. So if your knees stick way up, ideally it is best that you have a block or some pillows underneath the knees or thighs so that the hip flexors can actually release. Because if the knees are just hovering there, the hip flexors are going to try to do their job and bring the knees closer together. So let the hip flexors soften, expand. You can rest your hands on your torso, maybe one on your belly, one on your heart. You can let them fall out. You could grab opposite elbows over your head. Kind of just doing whatever feels right. So in that seated fold variation, Janu Sirasana, we do an external rotation in one of the hips. So now we're just allowing both of them to release, allowing the spine to neutralize. I'm just trying to remember to stay conscious, stay aware. Whether that is calling your mind's attention to sensations within the body, or allowing yourself to become witness to the thoughts of your mind. Just finding that place of, again, surrender like we did in child's pose. Where you're at right here, right now. And whether we realize it or not in the practice of asana, we practice a form of surrender or letting go of control. Because we show up on our mat day in and day out, not knowing what the teacher is going to put us through. Daniel knew what he was going to experience today, he probably wouldn't have showed up, right? But we give into that surrender, and more often than not, as a teacher going on now 11 years, the number one thing I hear from students is, that was exactly what I needed. And that only comes from a place of letting go of controlling what we think we need. Learning to listen to the body. Learning how to let go. So as you're ready, you're going to go ahead and just slowly slide your feet out wide to the front corners of your mat. One leg at a time. You can let your arms fall down and away from the sides of your body. Shoulders gently tuck underneath you, but not enough that your chest lifts. Keep it heavy. Back of your head gently pressing into the earth. Savasana. Very mild, very easy transition. But one thing remains the same. Just remembering that Savasana is meant to be conscious rest. Right, which means you stay fully conscious and aware of the body and the mind, yet you allow yourself to become fully unattached and unaffected. So in order for that to happen, you do need to find a place where you're not focusing on cramping muscles or kinks in joints, so feel free to set this pose up as needed. You can even let go of your breath. Let go. And allow yourself to let be. prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul. It is daily admission of one's weakness. So it is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart. A quote from Mahatma Gandhi. And prayer is an essential piece to progressing one's spiritual life. It is the time that we take out of our day to have a one-on-one conversation with God. Sometimes it may seem as if it's one way. But I want to ask you, anytime you do pray, to notice what it is you're praying about. So often people turn only to prayer when it's something they want materially speaking. They pray for a raise, for better health, whether it's for themselves or loved ones. They pray for good grades in school. But this is asking, and it is not coming from the heart. Prayer should be the time where we get really raw and vulnerable, expressing our deepest fears, the soul's desires. And so even if you go and find that time and you come up wordless, that's okay. For it's better to have heart and a deep connection behind your prayer than kind of materially driven and heartless prayers. A very spiritually advanced person once said, if you do not pray every day, then you're not serious about your spiritual life. So just remembering that prayer doesn't mean you have to go to a church. You don't have to kneel on the side of your bed. Close your eyes and clasp your hands. You can go out and walk on the beach, walk out in nature. You can yell, you can scream. Just allowing it to be sincere and from a place of devotion, love, and spiritual desires. So I'm going to offer you the benefit of laying here in Savasana really for however long you would like. Maybe take the time to find those words full of heart. If not, be okay with just sitting still and being quiet. Because over time, the words will come. It should never be forced. And also remember that this is something that I hope you take with you off the rubber mat and add to your day-to-day life. So on that note, namaste.